d'un budget qui marque indéniablement un tournant dans l'histoire économique contemporaine de Maurice. Dans cette salle se trouvent réunis dirigeants d'entreprises, entrepreneurs visionnaires, décideurs économiques, vous qui constituez la force vive de l'économie mauricienne. Et maintenant, pour ouvrir la discussion, j'ai le plaisir de céder la parole à M. Mahen Kandasamy, CEO de l'EDB, Economic Development Board de Maurice. Monsieur Kandasamy, c'est à
vous. Our Junior Minister of Finance, Honorable Dhaneshwar Damry, our esteemed leaders of the private sector, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning and welcome to Sarah Harryland Lecture Hall for this interactive session on the budget 2025-2026 with the Junior Minister of Finance, Honorable Dhaneshwar Damry. The budget delivered last Thursday by the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Dhaneshwar stands as a testament to our nation's resilience and forward-looking vision. It reflects a bold commitment to transforming challenges into opportunities, turning aspirations into tangible achievements. And this budget is not merely a financial plan. It is a roadmap to turn around our economic habits towards sustainable growth, innovation, and shared prosperity. At its core, the budget 2025-2026 marks a pivotal shift in our economic strategy, moving away from consumption-driven model to one fueled by productivity, investment, and innovation. For the Economic Development Board, this budget is both a call to action and a blueprint to transformation. The government's commitment to a new economic model, driven by research, innovation, transformative investments, updated trade strategies, and smart infrastructure, resonates deeply with our mission. We are particularly encouraged by the emphasis on unlocking innovation through the establishment of the National Research and Innovation Institute, the launch of the Innovative Mauritius Scheme, and the prioritization of artificial intelligence, digitalization, and open data initiatives. The EDB is tasked with a central role in this national renewal. Our restructuring will ensure that we are better positioned to promote investment across all sectors, streamline processes, and champion the innovative Mauritius brand on the global stage. We will lead efforts to improve the ease of doing business, support export-driven growth, facilitate private sector participation in public infrastructure projects. The budget also recognizes the importance of inclusivity, empowering women, supporting youth, engaging with the diaspora, and supplementing our workforce with foreign talent where necessary. The new immigration policy and fast-track work permit system to be managed by the EDB will help address critical skills shortages and drive investment-led growth. Equally important are the measures addressing the cost of living and purchasing power. And following extensive consultations with the consumer associations, the budget incorporates proposals such as tax exemptions for lower income earners, VAT removal on essential goods, and price controls to alleviate household burdens. As we navigate current national economic challenges, coupled with global uncertainties, this budget will lay the foundation that ensures that Mauritius becomes more agile and future-ready by fostering innovation and prioritizing sustainability. This budget is setting the path of getting out of the current economic quagmire for a brighter, more sustainable and inclusive tomorrow. The EDB is passionately committed to transforming this vision into reality. And as a proud and resilient nation, we are very confident that we will embrace the spirit of perseverance and determination for the next 3 years that will revitalize and reinvigorate to deliver the opportunities that lies ahead. To all our partners across industries, your expertise, energy, and engagement will be vital as we operationalize these comprehensive budgetary measures for the next 3 years, and I'm confident you will wholeheartedly join us in this collective journey. Before we get to the much anticipated interactive session with the Junior Minister of Finance, Honorable Dhaneshwar Damry, I wish to pay tribute to him on this all-laudable initiative, a first of its kind, I believe, to delve deeper into these transformative measures and personal, and directly address your questions. So before I end, I want to share a thought with you. Every nation in their history will invariably go through what we call a watershed moment that pushes it to think boldly and differently. It will drive us to go beyond easy answers. It will force us to question what we think and search for new and brave and courageous answers. Today, we are at such a moment. And in this context, we really do understand that change can be scary because it pushes us out of our comfort zones and into unfamiliar territory. But we are very confident that this change in this transitional 3-year period will also be a catalyst to power charge Mauritius towards a new and thrilling area of sustainable growth, as well as open the gates to new and exciting opportunities. A very close friend of mine, a former Namibian ambassador, once shared an old African proverb about change with me. Think about the caterpillar transforming itself into a butterfly. This process is not easy at all. The caterpillar must build a cocoon and literally reconstruct itself during a transformative process, which is time-bound. It is an incredible and profound transformation. But finally, it is because of this dramatic change in this process that the butterfly can finally emerge and fly. So just like the butterfly, Mauritius, all of us here are in this 3-year transformative process to become something even better, stronger, and more than what we are now. I think.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Kandasamy, pour cet éclairage stratégique particulièrement éclairant sur le rôle pivot de l'EDB dans cette transformation. Et maintenant, mesdames et messieurs, nous allons ouvrir la session de questions-réponses réservée aux invités du secteur privé et autres participants présents aujourd'hui et accueillir bien évidemment l'honorable Monsieur Dhaneshwar Damry, ministre délégué aux Finances. Et je précise aussi que Monsieur le ministre répondra bien évidemment aux questions de la presse juste après la session. Monsieur le ministre, bonjour.
Thank you.
Representatives of business associations, the chairperson and board of EDB and the CEO of EDB, my good friend Mahen, very good morning to you all. I thank the EDB for organizing this forum this morning because I will underscore the importance of it. So while preparing the budget, I was part of the team that was preparing the budget under the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. And before November 2024, I was part of the private sector. So each time that we were discussing measures pertaining to businesses, I was trying to balance the expectations of the private sector with our duty towards the country. And I must say that we are very lucky to be led for this government, to be led by the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister. I'll tell you why. Because there was a particular value that I learned from them during the budget preparations. We were not thinking about the next general elections. This is what politicians do. We were thinking about the next generations. This is what statesmen do. And the first priority, since I'm addressing the business community, the first priority was to protect businesses. And I'll tell you why we need to protect businesses. You'll understand that. As you all know, our Moody's ratings are Baa3 with a negative outlook. And you all know why we are here. You all know our debt sustainability, or sustainability, if I may say, 90% of GDP, budget deficit touching 10%, trade deficit in excess of 200 billion rupees, so much money being allocated towards servicing of debt, and an economy fueled by consumption and inflation. We are all in this room very aware of the consequences of a downgrade. If we did not reverse the trend, Moody's would act. And, you know, the consequences are so severe for the economy first, and then for the general population also. Those from the financial services sector would be the first impacted. Those from the banking sector, all your correspondent banks will go. All our global business will go. All foreign investors will go. And if this happens, we put jobs at risk. Prices would soar. It's just not good for the economy. We all know that. I mean, no one in this room can tell me that if Moody's acted, the consequences for our country would not be disastrous for not just the business community, but for the whole population. And remember, I know the Mauritian businesses because I was part of it. We care. You know, shareholder value is not only about profits, it's also about our people. It's also about our planet. And that is why we have taken the decisions that we have taken. You all know the decisions that we have taken. You are impacted by it. So I will not repeat them, but we can address them during the discussions. But one thing that I'm certain is that we have also created something that was not present earlier. We have created new business opportunities, new investment opportunities with a lot of incentives. And you can start looking at that. We are also easing the investment landscape. We're increasing the competitiveness of the country. We are rebuilding the foundations for business of Mauritius through labor market reforms, through ease of doing business, through enhanced export competitiveness. I mean, let's look at the blue economy. We are unlocking 30 billion rupees of private sector investments in renewable energy. You will benefit. The whole country will benefit. So while on the one side, we are having to make efforts, just like every single Mauritian today, on the one side, as one people, as one nation, we are all making efforts On this other side, you business community, you have the opportunity to rebuild, to shape the new Mauritius through the new investment strategies and the new investment space. And you know, I always like to end with a story. So I'll tell you a story. Many years ago, the father of the nation was faced with a choice. Negotiations were ongoing about sugar. And then he was in two minds. Do I go with a free market strategy, or do I go with a long-term quota fixed price strategy? And when he had to take the decision, the free market price of sugar was £115. But he chose £72 at that time. It was just after the independence. And immediately after, the prices even soared to £600. Those from the sugar sector will remember. People from the business were not happy with the father of the nation because he signed a fixed price quota for a number of years for £72. After 1 year, prices crashed. And this sugar agreement laid the foundation for businesses to prosper and for the country to prosper as a whole. Similarly, our government is faced with a similar situation today. As I said, we are not thinking about the next elections. We are thinking about the next generations. We have a vision. We have a duty to our motherland. And that is why we have taken, as one government, the decisions that we have taken. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I take your questions. Thank you very much.
D'avoir fait part, en tout cas, de votre vision et de votre philosophie économique pour Maurice. Je déclare à présent la session de questions-réponses ouverte. Qui souhaiterait intervenir en premier? Qui souhaite intervenir tout de même en premier? Des questions? Monsieur ici présent, on va vous faire parvenir un micro tout d'abord. Un micro pour le monsieur qui est là, au premier rang. On va changer le micro, puisque voilà, je pense que l'audience ne vous entend pas.
Ah.
Ça marche.
Je vous remercie pour cette activité d'interaction, qui est déjà très encourageant. Et deuxièmement, vous avez été connu, vous envoie dans le budget un plan extrêmement courageux aussi. Et je vous remercie pour nous avoir interagi avec vous les mesures par rapport aux investissements portuaires, la formation, le débat, entre autres, que nous appelons beaucoup. Cependant, on a beaucoup de questionnements par rapport à nos membres dans le domaine de l'immobilier en Côte d'Ivoire. Nous concédons que tout l'aspect de l'immobilier, entre autres, c'est des business models qui doivent être revus. Donc, nous travaillons sur le moment avec tous nos partenaires, avec tout le monde. Certainement, on reviendra sur des documents. Nous souhaitons qu'on puisse revoir peut-être certaines décisions pour voir comment converger ces modifications avec les disruptions dans le business model. Et puis, deuxièmement aussi, Monsieur le ministre, dans certains secteurs, les augmentations de duty, extra duty, entre autres, on voit un impact certain sur, d'une part, le business model, mais aussi sur la confiance en termes des consommateurs. Donc, ce n'est pas nécessairement des questions directes, mais c'est des fautes considérations que nous avons. Et j'espère que, comme vous l'avez fait auparavant, on pourra continuer à avoir ces interactions pour en discuter. Merci.
Yes, yeah, I understand. See, in spite of all the efforts that we have made, it's very important that you understand that. We have made so many efforts, but the public debt has decreased from about 90% to 88%. It's not good enough. In 3 years, we have to go below the debt statutory level of 80%. We have only 3 budgets to do that. And we are confident that if we work together, of course we'll keep speaking. This government, even if the conversations are difficult, we will engage in those conversations and try to find solutions. But one thing that I'd like everybody to try to internalize, also understand, internalize, because I believe everybody understands what we have done, is that we have to make this effort. Otherwise, Moody's will downgrade us. I mean, you look at what happened to South Africa. I don't have to tell you that. In spite of all the efforts that we have made, very serious efforts, the public debt is about 88%. And we have to go below the statutory level in 3 years. And we have said in the budget that after 3 years, we'll move to a lighter tax policy. We want to do that. We understand the implications. I understand, the whole government understands the implications of what we have done. And we take that responsibility. But we'd like to work with you as one people, as one nation. And in 3 years, once the economy starts performing again, we will return to a lighter tax policy.
Voilà, cela clarifie vos interrogations, j'espère. D'autres questions? Sans doute. Oui, monsieur, ici présent, deuxième rangée.
Hello, thanks for giving us this opportunity. So we have heard the word AI a lot. Actually, I think it's the number one keyword in the budget, AI. So I'm an AI startup founder, and I'm also an AI engineer. And so the budget is supposed to be good for me, thanks. But we have heard about the investment, boosting investment in innovation and AI. But we haven't not heard what would be the specifics of that. What would be the specific incentives? Currently, there's already the angel deductions. Will it go further than that? Thanks.
Yes. So we are coming up with a number of investment schemes, and the EDB will be publishing those soon. Now, there are a few things that we are doing. A, there will be incentives, fiscal and otherwise, for investments in AI. But number two, this government is doing something very different. The Chagas, part of the Chagas money, eventually, will be used to set up a future fund. And that future fund is along the same lines of the Temasek in Singapore. And I'll tell you the long-term vision why we're doing that. If you look at the GDP and the annual budget of Singapore, Temasek contributes 3.5% to its GDP and 20% to its annual budget. So when Temasek contributes 20% to its annual budget, this means it's 20% less taxes that you have to collect somewhere. It's a trade-off. So this is our long-term vision as far as priority sectors, transformative areas like AI is concerned. But the whole nation and local investors, foreign investors, will come to know about those very attractive incentive schemes.
D'autres questions, sans doute dans la salle? Oui, monsieur, on va vous faire parvenir un micro. Deuxième rangée, un micro pour ce monsieur. Merci de vous présenter tout d'abord avant de poser votre question.
Good morning, my name is Faraz, I'm from Mauritius Finance. Honorable Minister, thank you for this opportunity. I think you probably knew what I'm going to talk about, but if you would allow me, 3 things that I would like to stress on. The first one is we welcome the introduction of private wealth license, or the encompassing license. We would have hoped for more products in the financial services sector, but we understand the maneuverability of the government. So whether it is through this budget or through other means, we would welcome new products. That said, when you talk about private wealth, you talk about exceptionally high net worth individuals, and it is important that the tax bracket may or may not be counterintuitive to positioning Mauritius as a private wealth hub. So that's one. I think it is important that I think you will get the opportunity to hear it from the horse's mouth. The second one is, Honorable Minister, the introduction of the qualified domestic minimum to tax. If the policy decision has been taken to implement it, our ask is, and we have formulated a letter to the Ministry of Finance in the past, our ask is that it is a well-thought process because it is a highly sophisticated endeavor of the government. It is important that our tax incentives are not neglected. So when are not neutralized through the PD entities, I understand there are approximately 800 entities which are impacted. Our ask is not to do it through the finance bill, to come up with regulations thereafter, and to repackage and recalibrate all the other tax incentives, including the partial exemptions, so that there is not an erosion of existing global businesses in the country. I think it is very important that we do that, and I will take your feedback on this one. And the third one is, of course, we welcome the impact assessment of the sector, and we hope that we have the opportunity to contribute thereon. Thank you.
Thank you, Fawaz. Okay, I'll make some comments. Firstly, we all know the importance of the financial sector. Nearly 14% of our GDP, 12,000 employees, and a heavy weight in the balance of payments in our deposits. Now, regarding the private wealth and other schemes, I must tell you one thing. Financial services sector is perhaps the largest contributor to the GDP of our country at the moment. And we wanted to kind of come up with I think the ministry is already working on that, the Ministry of Financial Services, to come up with a revamped financial services economy model. So as soon as the ministry makes its recommendations, I'm sure the government, and if the ministry can make it in the fastest delays, I'm sure the government will come up with a renewed, more buoyant, and more competitive, globally competitive financial services model that will address all the issues that you have just raised, and I do believe that they have to be addressed globally.
Et maintenant, pour permettre à d'autres de s'exprimer, votre question en une phrase, s'il vous plaît, d'autres questions, peut-être cette partie de la salle. Voilà, nous avons un monsieur ici, troisième rangée. Bonjour, présentez-vous.
Bonjour, merci à l'adresse. Moi, I'm a small entrepreneur. My career has spanned textile, then offshore banking, and now in property. I've been dealing principally with foreign investors. When I read the budget, these investors may feel that we don't want them anymore. I know that there has been a lot of criticism of Bétonnier in Maurice, but I think within the people who we're attracting here, not only they come to buy a property, but they also come here and bring their wealth, as wealth management is everything. I fear that the message is a bit too harsh on them without any transition. And secondly, I think we need to look carefully at the fair taxation, because we do not want to have people who come here who want to bring all their income to Mauritius. I've got a client yesterday who told me he gets 1 million dividend, 1 million dividend every year, and he says suddenly he's got to pay under 15% when he's starting to pay only 15%. So the message in terms of what is being put in that budget may have us end up with a smaller market, be it on property or in offshore. So I think a transition period is important. Thank you.
Okay, so again, it's a balancing act. We have on the one side of what we call a fair share. I mean, every one of us is contributing to ensure that Mauritius becomes competitive again. So the fair share contribution is based on capacity to pay. It's only fair that those who earn more pay slightly more, contribute slightly more. And the other thing we must also not forget, I didn't want to say it, but you know, a lot of us, the country has done a lot of us. We should not forget that. A lot of us are successful today because the country has provided us with a platform to be successful. And this has been for decades, for generations. Today, the country needs us. So it's our turn to give back to the country. And the country is asking us for only 3 years. That's what we want to do as a government. Now, on the other hand, we'll have the private wealth scheme. So it's going to be a balancing up. We'll have to see. And of course, the one message I want to send is that this government is investor friendly. This government is growth friendly. This is the signal that we want to come out of this budget. The intention of the government is to encourage investments in this country. I am aware that 80% of investments in this country are made by the private sector. And we need a lot more investments in this country. So we don't want the wrong signal to be sent to the private sector. It's an investment-friendly budget, but at the same time, we are asking everyone to make a fair share contribution to share in the burden for the next 3 years, so that we all grow after.
Des questions, voilà d'autres questions. Monsieur souhaite réagir ici. Un micro, s'il vous plaît. Merci beaucoup. Tout d'abord, présentez-vous.
Bonjour, Pierre Jabot de Cap-Tamarin. Tout d'abord, félicitations, parce que je sais l'engagement. Mon père était élu en 95, mon frère en 2014, donc je sais l'engagement que cela demande. Donc, attraper ce poids lourd dans cette période-là, je vous en félicite. Hier, avant-hier, on a entendu le discours du Premier ministre où il spécifiait que, concernant les projets Smart City, there will be a transitional period to cater for components of smart city projects where construction has already started. Il est très important pour nous que le volet technique de l'accompagnement de cette période-là soit clairement pas un bloc que l'on arrache de façon trop violente. Donc c'est le seul message que je voulais faire passer. Si, un deuxième petit message, on vit, comme vous le savez bien, dans un monde de perception. Donc la perception de l'accueil des étrangers, quel que soit finalement le niveau de compétence ou de richesse que l'on cherche. Donc j'exhorte à ce que effectivement on soit très conscient de la perception du message. Je suis sûr que vous l'êtes. Merci.
Merci. Comme je vous ai dit, le signal qu'on veut envoyer aux investisseurs étrangers ou mauriciens, c'est que le gouvernement a besoin de vous. Le gouvernement a besoin de tout le monde. Nous vous encourageons d'investir dans ce pays. Et deuxièmement, en ce qui concerne les modalités, ce sera dans le finance and audit.
Représentant du tourisme, nous avons une question tout d'abord. 2 questions, 3 questions même. Voilà, on va commencer par madame. Attendez d'avoir le micro avant de poser votre question, mais une petite présentation s'impose. Qui êtes-vous?
I'm Fina from Blinds.mu. So I'm an SME, I'm part of She Trade, so thank you for ADB, and I'm here. In the budget, it's nice to have the support, financial support of 1.5 million, but we do know it's not easy to get that. And I feel like with the increase of labor, there's no support for SMEs right now, and there's not really much support for women entrepreneurs as well. So we need help to survive.
I think in the investment schemes that the EDB will come up with shortly, these questions will be addressed. We are very conscious about this, right? We are very conscious about these problems. We discussed pre-budgets, we are conscious about these problems, and we'll try to come up with solutions.
Morning, sir. Thank you for the invitation. And honestly, I don't begrudge you your job. I think you've got a terrifically difficult job. I'm a foreign investor. I'm chief executive of PSG Financial Services. We have a market capitalization of 1.5 billion rand. We operate in wealth management, asset management. And we were persuaded by the EDB to come in 2 years ago. I personally arrived here from the UK after living there for 20 years. I think our basic problem is that overnight, I understand that you're trying to protect global companies, but overnight you have increased the tax rates of our employees by double. And what we need executives to come in here, and those executives are all going to be taxed at 40%. And so we're faced with three problems. Either our employees have to take that, or they leave, or we as a company have to make good on that taxes. If we make good on those taxes, then we get taxed again. So what we've done is taken advice, and basically it tells us our tax bill is going to double. So as a global center, Mauritius has immediately become unattractive for us. And I think that's a challenge for us. Would you like to respond to that, please?
Yes. Firstly, I think the tax rate is 35, not 40, because it's 20% for people who earn more than 1 million rupees. And then there's a fair share contribution
of 50 and then 5% about 40.
No, it's a 15, I think it's read paragraph 272 of the budget speech. The other one, there was a small,
it's still 35%.
It's 35, that's something I wanted to correct. Again, we are very well aware of your problems. We are very well aware that we need to maintain the competitiveness of Mauritius as a financial center, and that is why I just replied to Fahaz before, that let their ministry come up with a blueprint for the financial services sector. But again, imagine the consequences of Moody's hitting Mauritius. We didn't even look. At least now we're trying to find a way to stay Mauritius. If Moody's hit Mauritius, we take the blame the next minute. So that is what we're trying to protect. And we're asking a fair share contribution from you for the next 3 years, and then we will revert to a lighter tax policy once the economy picks up again. We are very, very conscious about the efforts that we are demanding of the private sector that have been in this country, that have contributed to this country, that contribute to this country. We are very well aware of that. We are asking a special effort to everyone. We are not doing it with pleasure. We think we are doing it out of necessity. If we didn't have to do it, we would not do it. And that is one thing I want everyone to understand. We are doing it for the long-term survival of Mauritius and the people who live in this country.
So if I may, I think the issue is you want more taxes, and we're sympathetic to that. We understand the difficulties that you face. I think the risk that you run is that we were going to bring more executives in that was going to pay more taxes. Those executives won't come. And the existing executives that's paying millions of taxes at the present moment are going to leave. So you're going to be in a worse off position. And I think that's the danger. That's the unintended consequences of the 15%. So if you want to protect global companies, what you have to do is you have to protect the employees. And if you can't protect the employees, then it puts the companies themselves at risk. And I think that's the problem.
I get that. Believe me, when we were preparing the budget, this was very much, in front of us. The choices were there. And just this morning, a board member of EDB, I think last night, we were discussing about that. But we have to be balancing out about the future of Mauritius, the immediate future of Mauritius. And we have come up with this solution.
Nous avons une autre question, Monsieur Kalila. Non, c'est bon. Voilà. On passe à Monsieur ici présent. Au micro, s'il vous plaît.
Good morning, Vinay Kanai from Vikara Health. I'm an SME, so we are selling locally and also exporting. I read in the budget speech effectively that the export promotion program, trade rebate programs called. My request is effectively for us to be able to export nowadays. All our contacts was made through export promotion program organized by the EB. In fact, I was thinking much higher that most probably we can make use of our embassies in foreign countries to effectively do export promotion program. But the request is also to maintain some of the international fairs for us to take part. Thank you.
The EDB is restructuring itself, and we're very much, as a government, we mandated the EDB to make Mauritius more competitive export-wise and to develop aggressive export strategies to assist, to be a strategic partner to our companies to export. Yes, please.
Would you like the mic?
No.
Or we can from here to
Very brief. No, I just want to say this is a very important point about the use of embassies as like key assets in that process. So at the moment, we've started a series of briefings of those ambassador designates so that we can identify what are the key areas they need to concentrate on from an economic diplomacy point of view and provide them with the information that they would require. But also importantly, give them the contact person at the EDB so that the EDB becomes an extension of the embassy, but not separate. So that at any one time they can contact us about things that are happening, but particularly in terms of export, that has got to be one of the key priorities that we're doing. And as the minister mentioned, one of the things that we need to do is restructure the EDB so that as far as the export side is concerned, it's not implicit but explicit in the way that we are structured. When you look at the structure of the EDB, nowhere do you see an explicit aspect of its export objectives and mission. So in the way that we're structuring that, we're going to have to do that. And the other thing we have to add, apart from other things, which is key to it, the EDB must have, it really must have, and I know that the minister and the government, it must have a very modern brand and marketing department. It doesn't at the moment, but it must have, because our job ultimately is about selling the country. That's what we exist for, to sell the country in terms of investment and in terms of promoting exports. So we will start that very, very soon. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah. And the brand Mahan we have announced in the budget is going to be innovative for us.
Thank you, Mr. Kandasame, as well, for clarifying this idea and this concept, and I hope that this replies to your interrogation and question. On passe à la prochaine question.
Merci. Hi, I'm Dhaneshwar Damry, president of the Association of Acteurs des acteurs de location saisonnière à Maurice, the whole informal tourism sector, everything that is Airbnb and vacation rentals at large. We listened very attentively to the budget yesterday, and we hear all the good intentions regarding the future of tourism. I think that it is adequate, and indeed branding is a big subject. My question would be very simple. How does the government foresee to measure the results of this a successful blueprint as a private sector question? What is the big KPI that will be used to measure the success of a successful blueprint?
Okay, good question. We talk about that a lot too, because we know that the implementation of the budget will be key for us to return to a lighter tax policy over 3 years. And we've taken steps towards that. When we announced the government program, a high-level steering committee was set up at the level of the Prime Minister's office to monitor the implementation of the government program. And if you read the budget, you will see there that that same committee will monitor the implementation of the innovative Mauritius budget. And I'll go even further. The Prime Minister will come and report on progress of the government program. See, the government program will have 5 budgets to implement it. This is the first budget to implement the government program. And the Prime Minister will come and report to the nation about the progress on the government program once every quarter or once every 3 months. So we are conscious about what we do.
Thank you. But just, if I mean in terms of specific tourism metric, what would be used to measure success?
Yes. So every program has KPIs, and now we need to develop the KPIs with every ministry and every program. But we will be very transparent about that. And maybe I'm just thinking aloud. Maybe it's good that the KPIs are co-developed with all the stakeholders in every program. Thank you.
Sans doute maintenant une nouvelle question au secteur. Monsieur, une autre question? Allez-y.
Just a humble suggestion. We've had Mauritius Research Council. Most of us haven't seen anything there. So I believe that probably for the next research initiative, we should have a joint private and public foundation, which is not just run by government, but jointly, where private companies can be allowed to make donations, have tax breaks for that, etc., so that it becomes a true public-private initiative to really drive forward, like we see in many modern countries. It's not government driving that. I think that area needs a joint effort.
The innovative investment schemes that we will come to learn shortly. Yeah.
Merci pour votre intervention. Nous avons une autre question. Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour, je suis Patrice Avorion, président de la Chambre des notaires de Maurice. Je parle, confrères et consoeurs, je voulais poser cette question. Le non-citoyen peut acheter des PDS, des biens immobiliers, dans des 1+2, comme on appelle, des appartements, mais ce budget ne permettrait pas à un non-citoyen d'acheter un appartement dans un projet immobilier qui est dans le. Sachant que ces terrains sont des terrains qui appartiennent au gouvernement, et pour qu'un projet puisse avoir lieu qui est dans l'eau, il faut que le terrain soit un industrial site lease, un bail industriel. Sur les campements site lease, ça ne peut pas se faire, et sachant aussi que le loyer annuel du ISL, c'est à peu près 13 fois plus que pour un bail en campement site lease. Donc on permet aux concitoyens d'acheter à l'intérieur des terres, mais non sur un appartement qui est dans l'eau. Donc je ne comprends pas trop quelle est la philosophie derrière cette mesure budgétaire. Merci.
Écoutez, comme je vous ai dit, les mesures que nous avons prises dans ce budget, il y a des mesures exceptionnelles. Et une fois que l'économie commence à refaire, il y aura un lighter tax policy, il y aura une redistribution des mesures, si je peux le mettre. Mais il y a beaucoup de mesures que nous avons prises pour une période spécifique de 3 ans.
Excusez-moi, Monsieur le ministre, cette mesure, ce sont les taxes qui entreraient dans les caisses du gouvernement. Donc le loyer annuel d'un bail industriel, c'est 13 fois plus que pour un petit enfant qui existe sur un terrain de 4200 m². C'est une famille qui bénéficie. Dans l'autre cas, un projet immobilier, c'est 13, 15 appartements, c'est de l'emploi pour les personnes qui habitent dans les zones côtières. C'est de l'argent qui rentre parce qu'il y a un déficit budgétaire, il faut bien le combler. Ce serait une façon de le combler.
Ok, il y a deux raisons. Une, comme tout le monde le sait, il faut aussi donner des opportunités aux Mauriciens, pas qu'aux étrangers. Et deuxièmement, je crois que tout le monde est conscient du surbétonnement de l'île Maurice. Il faut quand même protéger l'environnement. Donc, mais comme je vous ai dit, ces mesures que nous avons prises dans ce budget, ce sont des mesures du premier budget sur 3 budgets qui vont rebâtir, reconstruire les bases d'une nouvelle île Maurice.
Allez, on garde le focus sur le budget. Question suivante. La presse, ce sera pour après, juste après cette session. D'autres questions? Monsieur?
Cette question, mais du coup, qui s'adresse plutôt à Marie. Par rapport à la réévaluation de l'EDB, vous avez dit que du coup, il y a un organisme de promotion qui va se retrouver sous l'EDB. Ça va être en parallèle de la MTPA ou c'est. Quelle est la vision? Parce que c'est une vision.
No, I mean, with regards to tourism, that would be the mandate of the Mauritius Tourism Promotion Authority. But there's one thing that we can work together in terms of joint promotions where we have a stake in what is happening in a particular market. And they also have their stake. So we can join forces to do things collectively.
Mon point exactement là, c'est que dans la création d'une marque, finalement, d'avoir plusieurs marques diffuses, ça atténue la portée.
Il y a une seule marque de l'île Maurice.
So you're talking about the brand. I have discussed with the junior minister Sidney Pierre on that already. So we have had consultations on that already in terms of how we're going to go ahead.
Monsieur, we are one government.
Yes.
One government, une vision, une direction, une marque.
Minister, if you allow, there's one thing that the Prime Minister mentioned in his speech, which he emphasized on it. I don't know if people remember that, but he emphasized the importance of Africa. And he mentioned Agenda 2063. And then he mentioned the African Continental Free Trade Area. I am of the view that there's still a lot to do with regards to strengthening our Africa strategy, maybe revitalizing it and using it as a big advantage for us to be able to exploit that opportunities that exist, especially for our small exporters here, local exporters. There are things that the EDB can do and will have to do. So, because we are in a strategically important position. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had a series of consultations with various countries in the ASEAN countries and Far East, the Japanese ambassador, the Indonesian, and even the Australian ambassadors, high commissioners. And I think that we need to be able to craft a position on that so that we can, even if we need to package it even better in terms of new schemes, for instance, so that we can attract them to come to us. Because the world's changing. We understand how fractious the global trading system is becoming. Right? You're all aware. We understand that. And I know it, that many countries in the Far East and ASEAN countries are looking for new opportunities, how they will diversify even more their markets. This is an opportunity for us, and we must be ready and we must be willing to take advantage of that. I thank you.
Yes. Monsieur le ministre, Nicolas Hulot de Novatra. Directement à la question. Les droits d'enregistrement et la land transfer tax ont été revus substantiellement à la hausse pour l'acquisition et la revente des biens immobiliers par les étrangers. Un capital gain tax a aussi été introduit. Nous pensons que ces mesures auront un impact important et causeront une perte d'attractivité de Maurice en tant que destination pour les investissements étrangers dans l'immobilier. Est-ce toujours le souhait du gouvernement d'attirer du FDI à travers l'immobilier?
Absolument. La réponse est oui. We want FDI inversions. And of course, FDI in the construction sector, c'est un investissement étranger qui a soutenu l'île Maurice. Nous reconnaissons le support de l'investissement direct étranger dans l'immobilier. Et vous allez voir, lorsque dans notre construction des estimates dans le budget, nous savons qu'il y aura une réduction en termes d'IDE. Et nous avons prévu pour ça dans les estimates pour le budget. Il n'empêche que dans le passé, le FDI était skewed à 80% dans l'immobilier. Et la productivité du capital comparée à d'autres pays, pour les investissements mauriciens, c'est pas comparable. Donc, what we are asking, please continue to invest in property, but at the same time, please invest in productive sectors, where we can create jobs, where we can bring in foreigns. That is more sustainable. And also, in social impact sectors, like today the country needs electricity. We need electricity, so please invest in renewable energy products. We all know the marshy coast problem. We have all seen it. So please invest in solid waste management. We all know that we import the majority of our foodstuffs in this country. So please invest in the agri-sector. We all know that the youth of this country are immigrating to other countries. Please invest in sectors that create employment for them. Financial services, tech, AI. So what we are asking the private sector is to diversify your investment base. But please build on your existing investment base. but at the same time diversify your investment base to build a Mauritius that is financially and socially sustainable for generations. That's what we're asking you.
Voilà, j'espère que ça clarifie les choses pour vous. D'autres questions, d'autres interrogations, d'autres perspectives? Allez-y, monsieur.
Sir, thank you. Just to recount what you just said, we've heard in the budget that there will be, for the food security of Mauritius, scheme coming along to help vertical farming, different methodology of innovative farming. Will this scheme be just for small planters or also for larger corporations that are willing to come and do bigger investments?
So the country needs investments. So it will be for everyone. Local investors, foreign investors, small planters, everyone.
Une autre question ici. Allez-y, bonjour, présentez-vous.
Bonjour, merci. Vincent Djibo, Montchoisy. Tout d'abord, thank you for this exchange and this opportunity to, I guess, share ideas and hear feedback from the private sector. I've listened quite intently and it's become clear that I think there is certainly a short-term challenge. You've talked of the 3-year challenges. What I would encourage us just to do as a private and public sector community is just to take stock that certain businesses and groups have orientated themselves around policy measures that have got a 15, 20-year investment play. And I have the view that I think to reorientate energy is certainly something we can all consider. But I would encourage us as a public and private sector to work collectively to ensure there is a meaningful transition toward that. Because again, I think that capital allocated and the way we've orientated our businesses have been toward a certain component of our activities. Donc, again, just to encourage further collaboration beyond this forum to exchange and share views on a transition period that is I guess, tailored and allows one to create a new path forward.
Thank you. And I want to reassure the business community that we want to have continued structured dialogue with the business community. We want to be your strategic partners. We are one country, we are one people, one nation. We have one national flag, one national anthem. The country needs us, and the government will play its part. So I think through the structured dialogues between EDB, Business Mauritius, or whatever business associations you are, will ensure that they continue and we all work in one direction. This you have our guarantee on that.
D'autres questions, d'autres personnes qui souhaitent réagir? Allez-y, monsieur Ramkalawan. Dans quelques petites secondes, bien évidemment, en attendant l'arrivée du micro.
Merci. Thank you very much, Minister. I will be a little bit longer than 1 minute, but as quick as possible. I didn't want it to be enough. We have to give the chance to everyone. But firstly, Minister, thank you very much for this opportunity, and you innovate by being here and answering directly to a question. I know how difficult it is, and I know how vast your budget has been. So firstly, I wanted to commend on the fiscal responsibility first, which is really apparent. And as you said, it's Moody's, but beyond Moody's, I think some very courageous decisions, important for the country, have been put in there. I think that needs to be recognized. The labor matters, again, something which is extremely important. I think before the budget, we all came to see you to say labor is our key issue. We have direction on labor. We understand there will be ease of recruiting. There will be also, in terms of remuneration strategies, certain ways that are important for us to conduct our business. Flexibility of labors to bring in more of the DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion. So for those, very much appreciated. In terms of growth, the sectors that are the sectors of the future, when we talk about energy, food pools of the croissance of growth, energy, what we call circular economy, which will not change. We will talk about waste to wealth, very important. Ocean, where we need to work a little bit together, of course, to really understand how to materialize quickly. And creative industry, I think there's a volunteer for us to work together. When I hear this year you talk about Africa, this is my passion. I think our future linked to Africa can really go much, much further. So all these things, I think there's a lot of potential. Implementation is obviously key, and I hear you when you say working together, because I think this will be core to be able to materialize the opportunities
from the statements will require a structured approach. But I know that you are yourself passionate of everything to do with KPIs and measurements, so I hope that from there we will be able to do it. There are two things I would like to bring forward. One I think has been mentioned. I did want to bring it forward. It's the message that we give to the international investor. You are saying it right now. We are open for business and we want the business. Sometimes a little bit also with the way we perhaps be able to bring this message clearly with some maybe some tweaking, some refining or fine tuning in the Finance Act, as you're saying, Finance Act, or something to really showcase to the foreigner that we are open. I do think maybe some tweaking and some work to be there. Two things particularly, which when we talk about internationally, things like dividends, capital gains taxes, those things maybe to see how in your own, of course, your own structured decisions, which you have to make tough choices for the budget, and as you said, for the public finances, and as I said, for the Moody's constraint. But if we have the opportunity to discuss a little bit on that, I think really we can go much further without at all while staying in the integrity of your vision with regards to the budget. And the second part, which I think is also very important to look at, and the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, talks about it when he talks about progressive transition. And I think we understand in 3 years we'll have a different environment. I think many of us are willing to live through this to get this light environment. But in the meantime, some of the sectors, the transition period and the timing, sometimes what might seem the right timing and what could be in fact a better timing, again, a place for discussion. I know we will have this space for discussion, but I just did want to add it here in this overall positive note in terms of how we are seen by the foreign investor, the foreign talent. There's a war for talent going on internationally, and we have to be winners in this war for talent. And secondly, in some of the sectors, the timing of the transition. Those two are our requests. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. On the first point, on building the innovative Mauritius plan, of course, it's not something that we want to impose on the business community. And I think we should work together on how we craft the story, how we narrate the story, and how we send the right signals. That's one. Number two, we thought a lot about it. What do we do? Faced with the fiscal consolidation challenges that we had. And what we thought was that it's better to try to redress the situation within the shortest delay. We wanted to do it in 2 years. This is what we wanted to do, 2 years. But when we worked out the different, we considered doing it in 2 years, but it would have been too aggressive. So I think 3-year, medium term, it's a realistic plan. And I'm not saying if I know we are one country, we can disagree on certain points. But I know at the end of the day, we are one. We're united. And I know that at the end of the day, we'll all work together. And if we go in that direction, when we go in that direction, from today itself, I'm sure in 3 years, we'll return to a lighter tax policy. We want to return to a lighter tax policy in 3 years. We're talking only about business here. Imagine the explanations we're having to give to the general public also. But we have decided to build a Mauritius for next generations. We have not decided to be in government for the next general elections. This is what we have decided to do. And this is at the risk that we are running. We very well know the political challenges that we are running. Even someone like me, first time. But I'm happy that someone like me and the whole government, we are guided by 2 statesmen and not 2 politicians. And this has given us the courage to do and support what we are doing. And this is what I've asked the business community. It's not only the business community that is having to take these bold decisions. Think about the general public, please. At least we have the luxury to discuss things. A lot of us know that we can sustain for 3 years. Difficulties are relative. I'd like you for one moment to put aside your hat of a businessman or a businesswoman and think of the general Mauritian. Think about it. And even the foreign investors that have come to this country, please think about the entire nation. Our people are the beauty of our nation. You come here because you like our people. Our people are very welcoming. We are all going to go through some challenges because we have to. And this is the choice we have made. And we have made this choice because in the last general elections, the people mandated us to make these choices. They mandated a team that would make difficult choices, that had the courage to make difficult choices at the risk of electoral future. Because everyone is concerned about multi-generations of this country. And this is the appeal that we're making to everyone. Let's work as one people, as one nation. Yes, sir.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Ministre, pour ces propos prometteurs. Allez-y.
Sorry, sir, I'm very sympathetic to your challenges. So, we operate in multiple jurisdictions, Malta, UK, South Africa, and so on. So I'm sympathetic to it. But when I'm an international investor and I listen to you talk, I hear two things. The first thing is you're going to go through 3 difficult years, and I'll wait until you've sorted out your affairs, and then I'll have a look. The second thing, when you're an investor in financial services companies and financial sectors, and you want to make Mauritius, and we bought into that, you want to make Mauritius a financial center. We made that judgment. You would be better than Singapore, you're going to be better than Malta, and that's why we came here. The question is, if you had a stroke of a pen to change taxes, what else can we do? Is trust next? Is companies next? What's next? And that troubles investors. You're worried if there's instability in terms of the legal environment in which you're waiting. And I think that's what you have to consider. So if you're considering growth, you have to consider what is going to attract us. And we've already here, so to the extent that you're here, we might diminish your existing tax base. And that's what you have to think about. I mean, we are not here, this is your country, you've been elected, nobody is going to tell you what to do. I'm merely trying to give you the perspective of an international investor that can be here, or in Malta, or in Singapore, or Switzerland, or in any other jurisdiction.
Merci de nous avoir fait part de votre perspective. C'est vrai que cette question sort du cadre.
I'm sympathetic to your concerns, right? And I want to reply to this question is because there are 2 main issues. The environment that we want to create is an environment of predictability and stability that leads to confidence, and that's why I wanted to reply to you. I understand that business is about confidence. Business is about predictability. Business is about stability. And this is what we want to create in this government. But to create that, we're having to take those decisions. And as I said, there is a blueprint. This is the first budget. It has been done. We have budget 2, we have budget 3, we have budget 4, we have budget 5 coming in our mandate. And the Ministry of Financial Services will come up with a blueprint for the financial services sector. I hope the quicker you come, the better for the industry. And please work with the Ministry of Financial Services to address your concerns in the blueprint. That can be taken into considerations, maybe in budget 2, maybe in budget 3, but at least please address them. See, we are here to facilitate your investments in this country. We are here to facilitate the investor's life and the investor's family's life in this country. And that is what we are here to do. And I really wanted to reply to you because this government, if you look at our actions, we have been about predictability and stability and confidence.
Gardons le focus sur le budget. Manisha Doukni, allez-y.
Thank you very much. I'd like to commend you first for a very courageous budget. because I think there are decisions that should have been taken that haven't been taken and that you're taking in. And there's also, I would say, that move. And as you know, as an economist, we have been arguing that we need to move away from just consumption-led to investment-led. And I'm very happy that this move is being made now, and I would like to congratulate you and congratulate the EDB for this move, because it's not easy. It's easy to get money via consumption. It's harder, and in fact, when you look at the projections, it's quite difficult also to get growth with investments. And I do hope one of those things that this will happen. With respect to that, the budget does mention AFCFTA, it does mention the SECPA and the FTA with China. However, I would say that our export and export led through the investments that would be coming in, this is something that will have to be consolidated through our economic diplomacy. You did mention some of it, but I'm a Pan-Africanist. I work a lot across Africa. I do not see Mauritius that visible. I see financial services companies very visible, but I do not see Mauritius elsewhere on other areas visible across Africa. While there is an interest potentially from African countries and African businesses to do business with our local businesses. So I think we need to consolidate that, as we also need to look into what we can do for SECPA, with respect to SECPA, and what we can do with respect to the FTA as well, in particular in an age where we know that we're going to be faced with potential very high tariff on about 10% of our export towards the EU. So, sorry, not the EU, but towards the US. So we need to really look into those alternatives and link that as we're looking in terms of the investment strategy.
Okay, I think one of the key economic enablers will be connectivity, whether it's the port connectivity, airport connectivity, digital connectivity, financial connectivity, or as you just mentioned, diplomatic and economic diplomacy connectivity. So these will be the 5 key connectivity enablers to act as a force multiplier for business operations.
Voilà, je pense que nous avons fait le tour des questions principales, mais nous avons encore d'autres questions, d'autres personnes qui souhaiteraient poser des questions.
Yes, thank you. Minister and CEO of VDB, I have 2 points. I think first, I can see a coherence in state of the economy, the government program and the budget on pro-investment. And in the budget speech was clarity on pro-investment, which is very good. My second point is with respect to the second component of investment of the budget, with respect to waste to wealth. I think there are about a number of amendments which can be made to give that pool, that space of investment meaning, be it in the waste management resource recovery act, be it in the environment protection act, be it in the income tax act, be it in the excise duty. I think we can construct an investment framework for investment in the manufacturing, in the waste sector. And this could be an important component of manufacturing in waste. And if we only have a framework on which work has been done, and it can have real meaning for investment. So our plea will be, since we mentioned in the budget speech about this space for investment, and from waste to wealth, we can go down from a motherhood statement to a real space if we get the framework done, and it can be done. Since you already mentioned on energy, I think the waste component could be a major component. It can be done now, Mr. Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj, and I'm happy you raised this question because I'll make an invitation to every business association which is here. And that is the reason why we did not develop the investment schemes in details in the annex. So more work for you, Mahen. The Chief Economist of EDB is also at the back. So anyone, please feel free to get in touch with the EDB to share your ideas and co-create these investment strategies. As you see, this is a government that is your strategic partner. And we're not saying it only in words, we are doing it through actions.
Notre session de questions-réponses touche bientôt à sa fin, mais peut-être une dernière question dans la salle.
Ouais.
Un dernier témoignage, un partage? Personne? Monsieur le... Ah, une dernière question. Allez-y.
Peut-être juste un point que j'entends, qui est assez absent du discours, je dois dire, c'est au niveau des risques de goodies, etc. Donc c'est financial risk. Mais le financial sector, Maurice, ainsi que le BPO secteur, on va dire, opèrent actuellement avec deux outils, Excel et email. C'est ce que je constate en allant voir les compagnies. Et moi, je pense que c'est un très grand risque, dans la mesure où tout le BPO secteur est le direct threat de BPO secteur is AI. Et donc, c'est pour ça que finalement, dans l'Innovation Act, j'espère qu'on pourra avoir des discussions parce que je pense qu'il faut vraiment target les entreprises mauriciennes. Il faudrait que les entreprises mauriciennes aident à créer les agents IA qui vont permettre d'augmenter la productivité du financial secteur et du BPO secteur, car sinon, en fait, elle va devenir irrelevant par rapport à des AI étrangers qui vont tout simplement faire le jeu. Merci.
Juste lancer la débat.
Voilà, c'est dit, ce qui ressort clairement de nos discussions, un budget de transformation, une vision partagée entre exécutif et opérationnel pour repositionner, mesdames et messieurs, Maurice dans l'économie globale et surtout un dialogue constructif avec le secteur privé comme aujourd'hui pour réussir cette transition. Cette session confirme bien que nous partageons une ambition commune, faire de Maurice un hub économique innovant, compétitif et durable dans la région Océan Indien, n'est-ce pas, monsieur le ministre?
Thank you, and let's get to work as one people, as one nation now itself.
Voilà, tout est dit. Merci beaucoup à l'honorable monsieur Dhaneshwar Damry, ministre délégué aux Finances, pour sa disponibilité et ses éclairages aujourd'hui. Également, merci au CEO de l'Economic Development Board, monsieur Kandasamy. Voilà, merci beaucoup, mesdames et messieurs. Nous aurons droit à une autre session qui va se passer juste à l'étage. La presse pourra donc poser ses questions ou d'autres interrogations au ministre et au CEO de l'EDB à l'étage.